Sean Nerny, Johan back on Talking Tech, National Signing Day edition of Talking Tech. Last segment, we broke down some of the big names that you're going to have fun watching over the next 4 years at Georgia Tech. Right now, Joe, just kind of want to go over what our expectations, what to look for really in both spring ball and the offseason that we got coming up here, and then once the 2020 season starts. And for me, and I think you agree with me, number one at the top of the list is what happens with the quarterback position. We mentioned both Tucker Gleason and Jeff Sims getting on campus, joining James Graham and Jordan Yates in the quarterback room. How do you see this competition shaking out over the spring?
Well, to be fair, Nerny, James Graham is going to have to take the ball first. And by first, I only mean the first rep of Pascal, inside run, whatever you do first. And then from there, you're going to have to try to find a way to give each and one of these quarterbacks their day leading the #1 offense in a position to, I guess, bring out their talents. And I think this competition is going to be whoever can have us run our total package. We don't want to hide you in the pass game. We don't want to hide you in the running game. We don't want to hide you in the check with me's, being able to get in and out in good plays and out of bad plays. Who can grasp it in-house in the leadership role, the huddle. And I'm not going into it favorites. After this, when they get on campus, I'm going to try to be as a coach. Your high school film, your YouTube, your huddle film, that's over. We recruited you because you can be here, but competition is king, and we have to live that out. I'm just wondering when Coach Patton and Coach Collins is going to do away with above the line only pertaining to quarterbacks. Because I feel some type of way if I'm only above the line and I'm not getting in. I need to be knowing that, can I miss this guy wide? Can I throw 2 incompletions in a row and not look over my head? Because that's a real thing, thinking somebody's going to replace you every time you mess up.
Yeah, and for me, it's going to be, looking forward to next year. You've got a couple grad transfer guys that did not get waivers to play last year. They're going to be back on the field. Marquise Ezzard, the receiver, transfer from Miami, former 4-star guy. He's going to be ready to go for this upcoming season. And then Antonius Clayton, the former 5-star defensive end that transferred from Florida, also was not granted a waiver. He's going to be good to go. And, I think if you looked at the defensive line from a year ago, one of the things that stood out was really just lack of size.
Yes.
I mean, you really were, there was a massive difference between the size of the O-line and the size of the line over at Georgia Tech. Antonius Clayton is a true, defensive end, 4-3 type defensive end with a big body and a guy that should
3-down defensive end.
And he should make his presence felt pretty quickly on that.
Yeah, you alluded to it, Nerny, and I love the fact that those guys were in the system. So they're not coming in and learning. They were able to go in the scout team, get bigger, stronger, faster, and learn the ins and outs, knowing they're not going to be playing in the leadership. What about our secondary coming back? Right. Those guys, Carpenter, they're going to be more keen to knowing what Coach Collins wants, what Coach Thacker, defensive coordinator, want, and how they are trying to attack things. So now I'm getting a little itchy a little bit, Nerny. Talk me off of the ledge. I'm almost expecting a great spring as far as competition, and I'm teetering to where I really want us to go to a bowl and think we have the team. Am I crazy by expecting maybe bowl? Is it too early?
No, I mean, listen, and I tell you, before this signing period, and I think a lot of it, the fan base is looking to see what happens with Gibbs or whatnot, but, I talked about it last segment. These offensive linemen that you got in that are going to be ready to play when they get to campus, I mean, it helps out so much. There's going to be a transitional period. Listen, James Graham, I agree with you. I think during the spring, he gets the ball, #1, make these young guys earn it and take the position away. I do feel that one of those guys, whether it's Yates, Sims, Gleason, they will get the starting nod by the beginning of next year. There will be a transition period early in that, early with the young quarterback, but having that offensive line there is going to make things a lot easier. And, I may have been skeptical when last season ended to say that there'll be a bowl team going into next season. But I got to be honest with you, the more that I'm seeing the talent develop here, I wouldn't be all too surprised because of the skill guys we got coming back at running back and at receiver. I mean, I wouldn't be too, I don't think it's going overboard to say that they're a 6-7 win team.
Yes, and it's hard to tell because we projected wins because we expect this team to not look the same against Clemson. When you roll up into Athens later on in the season, they're going to improve. And it's a big thing, Nerny, that you have former players with Brent Key, Tashard Choice, Marco Coleman, Glover. When those guys, when they got disgruntled a little bit, especially in the running back room, Tashard can say, hey, keep working. I'm going to play the best player. Offensive line, when they get a little disgruntled, you got a player that kind of can feel them and coach them through adversity. I love where we're heading, my brother.
And one last hot take I'll give you before we get out of here. Wanye Thomas,
yes,
he's going to win some awards next year. Wanye Thomas, watch this guy play in the secondary because he's going to win some awards. All right, we are going to get back at you as the spring gets going. We get into spring practices. Some of that quarterback competition starts to unfold. Joe Ham and myself will be back to break it down. For Joe Hamilton, I'm Sean Nerny. This has been Talkin' Tech.